Good morning everyone. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is the biomolecule. In the biomolecule we will have to study about the different biomolecules like carbohydrate, amino acid, proteins along with some of the nucleic acids, both the nucleic acid actually, and the vitamins. So we are going to start with the carbohydrate. What are the carbohydrates and what is the use of the carbohydrate in our body? Carbohydrates are one of the major ingredient in our food material, and they are used to supply the energy for our routine works. That means that is the fuel for our body. What type of the carbohydrates are? When you will talk about the carbohydrates, they have the different categories. On the basis of number of units, you can categorize it in the three different parts. The first one is called monosaccharides, having a single unit. For example, glucose, fructose, and some of those of the species which have only a single unit, that is called the monosaccharide. But if the number of saccharides are 2 to 10, that is more than 1 but not more than 10, then it is called oligosaccharides. That means disaccharide, trisaccharide, tetrasaccharide, penta, hexa, hepta, octa, whatever it is till 10, that will be called the oligosaccharides. Generally in your book only disaccharides term is used and only disaccharide is given. The higher saccharides are not given. And the next one is called the polysaccharides. Surely, as the term suggests, it is the saccharide which have more than a 10 unit. That is the more than 10 saccharide unit, that is called the polysaccharides. When you will again classify the carbohydrate on the basis of the functional group, there are two different type of the carbohydrate. The first one, which contains the aldehyde group, is called aldose, and which contains the ketone group, that is called ketose. So the species containing the aldehyde group are called aldose, and species containing ketone group, they are called the ketones. Now again, when you will classify the carbohydrate on the basis of the reducing nature, then first of all, what are the reducing sugars? The reducing sugars are those of the sugars which reduces the Fehling solution. Then which of the sugar will reduce the Fehling solution? As you know that the Fehling solution reacts only with the aldehydes, not with the ketone, so it will be the aldose only. But all the aldose are not the reducing sugar. Some of the aldose are reducing sugar and some of the aldose are non-reducing sugar. So you can say that those of the sugar which reduces the Fehling solution, that is called the reducing sugar, and which does not reduce the Fehling solution, that is called the non-reducing sugar. So there are two categories. The first one is reducing sugar and second one is non-reducing sugar. So there are two different sugars, reducing and non-reducing. Then this was the classification. Now we are going to discuss about the first sugar, that is the monosaccharide, and in the monosaccharide we are going to discuss about the glucose, the reactions of glucose, structure of glucose, molecular mass of glucose, and everything about the glucose. So we are going to start with the glucose. Now whatever the reaction we are going to study, they are very important. अगर हम बोर्ड पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से कहें कि रिएक्शन लगभग हर साल आते हैं बोर्ड में, 5 रिएक्शंस हैं जो ग्लूकोज के स्ट्रक्चर को डिटरमाइन करने के लिए यूज किए जाते हैं, और पांचों के पांचों रिएक्शंस बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट रिएक्शन है. सो टेक इट सीरियसली. So when you will see the glucose, then first of all, what is the molecular formula? The molecular formula of glucose you know well, that is C6H12O6. That means there are 6 carbon in the glucose having 6 oxygen and 12 hydrogen. On the basis of this information, we are trying to find the structure of the glucose, and in this process we are seeing the reaction of glucose with the hydrogen iodide, that is the Hi. So when you will reduce the glucose with the Hi or strong reducing agent, the complete reduction of the compound takes place, the formation of alkane takes place. And what is the alkane? The alkane is N-hexane or straight chain system, which is suggesting that glucose have no branching. That is a straight chain system. The glucose don't have any type of the branching. Whatever the function will be there, that is not explained by the process. It is only suggesting the shape of the chain, which is straight. There's no any branching. Now the next one. What's about the reaction with the HCl? This is the first reaction. Sorry. And now when glucose reacts with HCl, you knew well, in the case of the aldehydes and ketone, the nucleophilic addition reaction takes place. Similarly, here you can see that the addition reaction is taking place. And this addition reaction is suggesting that the compound is containing either aldehyde or ketone. The reaction is not capable to explain that whether the compound is aldehyde or ketone, but it is surely capable to explain that the compound is carbonyl system. That means that is containing either aldehyde or ketone. So till now we confirmed that the system is a linear. There is no any branching in the system, and there is a carbonyl system, that is either aldehyde or ketone. When you will see the next reaction, that the reaction of glucose with the hydroxyl amine, that is the NH2OH, there will be a nucleophilic addition reaction. Again a nucleophilic addition reaction will take place and hydroxide will be formed. You can see the hydroxide here, and that is again suggesting the presence of the carbonyl system. That means the system is either aldehyde or ketone. It is not confirmed that whether it is aldehyde or ketone, but it is either aldehyde or ketone. So this is confirmed by the reaction that the glucose is a system which have a unbranched chain and presence of aldehydic or ketonic group. Now we are seeing some other reaction, that is the reaction of glucose with bromine, a mild oxidizing agent. When glucose is treated with bromine, the aldehydic group converts in the form of the carboxyl group. That means a compound is formed called gluconic acid, suggesting that whatever the carbonyl group is available in the glucose, that is not a ketone, because ketone cannot undergo oxidation, that cannot form the carboxylic acid. It is an aldehyde. So the treatment of bromine water is suggesting that whatever the compound is formed during the process, that is formed by the aldehydic group, and that is suggesting that the glucose is containing an aldehydic group. Now in the next reaction, when you will treat the glucose with the acetic anhydride, esterification reaction will take place, and whatever the compound will be formed, that is called glucose pentaacetate. This glucose pentaacetate is suggesting that the glucose have 5 hydroxyl groups, and these are the 5 hydroxyl groups are suggesting that the system, the chain of the glucose have one aldehydic group along with 5 hydroxyl group. As you know that there are only 6 oxygen in the glucose, so all the oxygens are surviving in which of the form you identified. We are just trying to confirm that whether it's true or not, whether the other reactions are also supporting or not, and in the process we treated it with a strong oxidizing agent HNO3, that is the nitric acid. And in the process, whatever the compound is formed, that is called saccharic acid. What is the saccharic acid? Saccharic acid is the compound which is suggesting that the system have a one primary alcoholic group and one aldehydic group. And on this basis, we can draw the structure of the glucose. Then these were some of the reactions to determine the structure of the glucose, and here we have discussed these of the reaction, which is suggesting that there is a aldehydic group in the glucose, 5 hydroxyl group in the glucose, there is a straight chain system, and 1 hydroxyl group is a primary system. So according to the above information, the structure of glucose is there are 6 carbons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 carbon. The first carbon is an aldehyde group. The second one is containing hydroxyl, 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 hydroxyl and hydroxyl. Other positions are occupied by the hydrogen. Then this is the linear structure of the glucose. But when you will see the reactions, other reactions of the glucose, we find that the glucose does not give shift test, that does not give 2,4-DNP test, and some of the other reactions which are generally the reaction of the aldehyde group. The pentastate of the glucose, that the glucose pentastate does not react with the hydroxyl amine, and all of these of the reactions are suggesting the absence of the aldehyde group. But actually in the previous reactions we have discussed that there is aldehyde group. We have proved it with the help of the reaction of hydrogen cyanide, hydroxylamine, reaction of bromine water along with the HNO3. That means 4 different reactions are suggesting the presence of aldehyde group. Actually the 2 reactions are suggesting the carbonyls presence and 2 are suggesting the specific aldehydes presence. Then how we can say that these of the reactions, that is the shift test and other tests, sodium bisulfite test, why the compound is not giving these of the tests? We also find that the glucose survives in 2 different forms, alpha and beta forms, having different boiling and melting point, and as a result we finally decided that glucose is not a linear structure, that is a cyclic structure. But there is a problem. In the cyclic structure all the carbons are the secondary one. But in this case what happens? One of the hydroxyl is primary. Then how will you explain about the primary nature of the hydroxyl group? So it was said that one of the carbon in the ring will be outside the ring. One of the carbon in the compound will remain outside the ring, and so he says that the compound will be somewhat like this one, that means this oxygen will approach this carbon and the oxygen's bond will shift forming the alcoholic group. So we are going to draw the structure of the compound. So by the approach of this oxygen on the carbon, the bond in between these two takes place, this structure, and the shift of the bond generates the hydroxyl group. And this is the cyclic structure of the glucose. When you will draw the structure in the normal way, in the form of the ring, you will find the structure resembles with the pyranoid, and so the structure of glucose is also called the pyranoid structure. So we are going to see the pyranoid structure of the glucose. So this is the pyranoid structure of the glucose, having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon and 1 oxygen. The ring structure resembles with the pyranoid, so it is called the pyranoid structure. And 1 carbon is outside the ring, which is suggesting the presence of the primary alcohol. All the other alcohols, that means 4 hydroxyl group on the secondary position, they are the secondary alcohol, and 1 aldehyde group is here, forming the ring, forming a heterocyclic ring. So this is the structure of the glucose. When you will see what is the name of the structure, this is the alpha D positive glucose. Here alpha is suggesting the structure of the ring, D is suggesting the configurational rotation, what is the rotation according to the configuration, and positive is suggesting the optical rotation. Then this is the structure of the glucose, that is the alpha D positive glucose. We are going to see the next monosaccharide, that is the fructose, and here is the structure of the fructose. It is a 5-membered cycle unit containing a ketonic group. So it is a ketone which is a non-reducing. Surely if the system is containing the ketonic group, that must be a non-reducing sugar. तो यहाँ पे reducing sugar की category में नहीं आता. The structure of the compound resembles with the structure of the furan, so it is called the pyranoid structure. This is the alpha D negative fructopyranose. Here you can see in simple way, if you are saying if the hydroxyl group is opposite to the position of the oxygen, it will be alpha. अगर ये hydroxyl group ऊपर रहा होता, then it will be beta. Then this is the alpha and beta form of the compound. So these were the monosaccharides. In the next period, in the next video, we will discuss about the disaccharide, polysaccharides and some of the other compounds.